What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I wouldn't even consider this to be an announcement. This was just like a straight up leak of stuff that FiGPiN sent to its vendors. Someone from FiGPiN got in correspondence with all of their vendors and basically said, we're gonna start cracking down on our map pricing. I'm not really sure if they had a program or strategy in place already, or if they're adding one now, but what FiGPiN is doing is enforcing a policy basically at which you have to sell an extra large FiGPiN at $24.99, a regular FiGPiN at like 15 bucks, and then the small ones at $8.99. That is the minimum advertised price. Now, there's a lot of misconception and misunderstanding about what this is. This isn't going to affect anyone on a consumer level. It's going to affect the market itself. I wouldn't even say it's going to affect like the small businesses that are selling these. I guess in a way it could affect them. They're just gonna have to come up with different solutions, that's not a bad thing. I mean, the best ideas and the best types of things always come at a point where you need to do something. So I really don't think on a long-term level it's gonna affect like the smaller retailers. And this is a very, very common pricing strategy in business in general. This isn't a bad thing. This isn't like FiGPiN trying to scam people or trying to drive traffic to their website. This is FiGPiN trying to preserve the integrity and the value of their brand in short-term and long-term instances. If you take Rolex, for example, Rolex is the golden standard of this business model. You can't go in, anyone who owns a Rolex knows you can't shop around for Rolex. There's no such thing as that, because Rolex will not let vendors just budge on their price. And because all that does is that lowers the value, lowers the perception of the brand. It does so many things that I don't even have time to list. And at its core, it's an integral part of building a brand and manufacturing. You have to limit your vendors on what they can discount. You can't just give people free range to sell or advertise the price for whatever they want. If they want to lose money, you can't do that because it leaves you no protection, leaves the manufacturer no protection, leaves FiGPiN no protection. And also what it does is it helps stabilize the market, because the way it works is, and I'll try and demonstrate this as simple as possible. Let's say you have Johnny over here that runs shop A, and then you have Rico that runs shop B. Johnny and Rico are selling the same product, so they are, in fact, competitors. Now, obviously, the first thing you want to do if you want to get ahead of the competition, you're going to want to lower your price. You're going to want to be cheaper than the other guys. That's basic. That's your basic business strategy, pricing-wise. It's the easiest thing, too. It's just be cheaper, and people are going to come to you. This pricing strategy long-term, though, is just not a good idea, and it always fails if used long-term. If you need to get a quick injection of capital or get rid of some stock and you start doing some flash sales, yeah, but you don't want to just constantly lower your price to beat your competitors, because what that does is that causes Rico to say, okay, Johnny is $1 cheaper. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be $1.50 cheaper than what I was selling them for. So as of right now, Rico's sitting 50 cents cheaper than Johnny. Well, Johnny doesn't like that because he's been selling well because he was cheaper. Well, now sales have stopped. So what Johnny does is Johnny goes and he says, well, I'm going to go ahead and lower my price an additional $2. So Johnny lowers his price, and then it calls Rico to be like, no, I need to sell stuff because I was beating Johnny earlier when it's cheaper. So Rico lowers his price. And before you know it, these people are working on like a 1% margin. And at the end of the day, it's hurting them, but it's also hurting the company. It's hurting the brand of what they're selling. Because after like 6 months of doing this, you look around and everyone is at the bottom dollar. And it makes people look at, a brand like FiGPiN or an item like the FiGPiNs and say, well, okay, clearly these things aren't worth 15 bucks because everyone's selling them at $8. You can't have that. You can't have that. A business would not be a business very long if they had that going on. So you have to put a stop to that. It is what it is. You can't really get mad at that. At the end of the day, I collect these things. I like them. I think they're awesome. It's a business though. At some point, businesses have to make money or they're just not going to be around. I wouldn't be wearing this amazing jacket right now if this company wasn't making money. I wouldn't be wearing these earphones if this company wasn't making money. So you have to pay into the system at some point. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's a good play, and the way it was handled was brilliant. Even one of the owners was in the group talking to everyone trying to explain. I tell you right now, that shit doesn't happen. Not to mention that a copy of this correspondence was put on the internet, and most of the time, stuff like this is confidential. If you look behind me, I'm a big collector in these toys here. One of the companies that kind of leads the industry in these toys, they would straight up sue you if they saw that on they would track down who put that. They would send a cease and desist. They would straight sue you, tie you up in court. That is how That is how a lot of the big companies, or not even big companies, that's how a lot of the companies in this industry act. Information like that gets leaked, they're going to find out who did it. They're never going to let them buy from them again. They're going to track everyone who shared that information, and they literally are going to sue you. That's how a lot of collectible companies are, and just companies in general too. They'll do whatever it takes to shut people up. And FiGPiN didn't do this. They literally were like, we'll talk it out. You have to respect that. I mean, and that in itself is incredibly valuable. And long term, it's gonna work well for them. We just gotta hope that one day they just don't get too big for their britches, and they want to start, doing things like everyone else is doing, which would be unfortunate. But overall, this isn't going to affect anything other than preserve the market, preserve the brand. You might have to pay an extra $1 or $2 per pin from some of the vendors, but just overall, you got to trust in the process. Overall, you got to trust that down the road, it's going to pay off. Even the small businesses that this might affect short term, long term, it's going to help. Just, you got to trust in the process. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm some expert in business strategy, or I'm some expert in marketing or retail or pricing strategies. But I will say that each one of these toys behind me costs $350 roughly a piece, and I have probably 300. So that costs a lot of money, and obviously I know what I'm doing to some degree when it comes to finances. So I would listen to what I'm saying about like 70%. I 70% am there. I'm kidding. I'm 100% right. I just don't want to be like that on camera, But that's going to do it. I just wanted to kind of get that out there. It seems like the company was kind of catching some flack. A lot of people were confused. I just wanted to do what I can to help people understand that it's really just it's something that goes on in every company, every industry. Most of the time, it just goes on behind the scenes because the companies go out of their way to make sure that it goes on behind the scenes. So if you made it this far, thank you. You can come hang out with us in the Pin Patrol FiGPiN community group on Facebook. Also, like the video, subscribe for some more stuff, and keep on doing your thing. 2020 is not a good year. I'm not even gonna lie. The first quarter was rough. Second quarter was rougher. Third quarter was rougher than the second quarter. Fourth quarter looks like it's gonna be all right. No, it's worse than ever. So, good luck to everyone out there.